For those of you who aren't familiar with the format, these showcase webinars, we did our first one last month. They're going to be monthly. And it's really all about the community, and it's all about inviting people from the community, special people who have really awesome ideas and who are using Wakelet in incredible ways, and kind of inviting them on to talk about, how they're using Wakelet and hopefully inspire some really cool ideas from yourselves as well, people in the audience. And the great thing is that these webinars are open for anybody to kind of submit and join. So if you feel like you've got a really cool way that you're using Wakelet that you want to share with people, or just kind of share your experience with Wakelet at all, get in touch. We're all over Twitter. You can just send us a DM and we'll try and facilitate it. But yeah, when I said that last webinar, we've now got like the next few months planned with people wanting to be on. So it will probably be like a few months later, but don't worry, as soon as we've got you booked in, we'll be able to work on it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to introduce our incredible guests today, and we have got one guest who's going to be joining us a little bit later. So I'll give them their special little introduction then. But first off, I wanted to introduce Anita. Anita, do you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Hi everyone, and good evening, because it's evening in Croatia. So it's 6 o'clock this evening, and it's almost like a warm spring day in Croatia. I'm a maths teacher and I teach in a lower secondary school, so that's from grades 5 to 8, and I'm really looking forward to this webinar and sharing some ideas and thoughts with the community and what we in Croatia do with Wakelet.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Anita. And yeah, I was just saying with Anita before the webinar kicked off that I was really surprised to hear her accent being from Croatia, because I've joined a Croatian webinar before and I just assumed that everybody's going to have like a Croatian accent. But when Anita started speaking, I was like, have I got the right person here?
We all speak like this in Croatia, almost. But
thank you so much
for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure. And next up from Croatia, also, we've got Ivana. Hey, Ivana, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. And now I'm from Croatia with my Russian accent. Okay, I'm Ivana. I'm a primary school teacher in Osijek, Croatia. I'm a member of the Wakelet Wave Croatia, and Anita is my colleague. And I'm very happy to be here and share with you what are we doing.
Thank you so much, Ivana. And I just want to say a big shout out to the Croatian Wakelet community. It's one of the busiest, most active, most passionate communities that we have at the moment. And it's largely down to our incredible ambassadors from Croatia, and Anita's one and Ivana's one. So thank you so much, guys. Next up, we've got Jennifer. Jennifer, show us your stuff.
Yeah, so hello, everyone. Jennifer Hall. My friends call me Jen. It's so nice to be here and represent the United States today. So super cool, excited about that. And I'm an educational technology specialist, and that's a fancy term of saying I'm a teacher trainer. I work with teachers on the best ways to integrate technology, and I get to work with students on projects as well. So I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, and just excited to share some of the ways that I've been using Wakelet with teachers to level up their instruction for students.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And we also have one person who's going to be joining us a little bit later. We've got Wendy joining us later, but like I said, I'll be able to give her her own introduction just a little bit later on. And guys in the chat, feel free during this webinar to share your ideas, to provide feedback on the stuff that you're seeing, and kind of share your excitement and passion. These webinars are all about coming together as a community and being able to have that awesome idea exchange. So yeah, go crazy in the chat. And also, if you have any questions as well, I'm sure that we'll have a little bit of time later, so just use the Q&A and let me know who you want to direct the question to, and then just let us know. Okay, so without further ado, Anita, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you're using Wakelet?
So being first is always a little bit of pressure, but kind of being first, you get everything out of the way as well. So I'm very happy to be with you this evening. As I said, Ivana and I are joining you from Croatia, and we will both be presenting the really important role Wakelet has in our teaching from two very different perspectives, because Ivana teaches in a lower primary school. She teaches a variety of subjects, whereas I'm one of those maths geeks. I just teach mathematics in lower secondary school. I'm going to share my screen now. So here we go. We're also part of the Wakelet Wave Croatia community, and as ambassadors, I just wanted to take a few minutes to tell you a few things about this really brilliant community of educators. We work really closely together on almost a daily basis. And the first Croatian Wakelet ambassador was Lydia, who formed the Facebook group about a year ago now. It has almost 2,000 people at the moment, and it's really a huge success. So she was the first ambassador of Croatia, and then together with Ivana and Antonia, towards the end of last year, they presented Wakelet to the entire Croatian teaching community during the yearly National Digital Users Conference. So that was really like a big kickoff and a starting point for promoting Wakelet in Croatia. Then I joined the team, so that's the four of us on your screen: Lydia, myself, Antonia, and Ivana. And we decided that we needed to take this to the next level. So this is our Twitter handle, the Wakelet Wave in Croatia, and you can find us on Twitter. We're really active. This is our handle. Please follow us and see what we get up to, what we do. We all love Twitter. But again, after that step, we thought, what's the next thing to do? So let's do webinars every Thursday. We decided 7:15 that one of the four of us would start holding a webinar. So the plan was each month to take the entire community from the very beginning of Wakelet, how to start up, collections and so forth. And this evening we have another one of our webinars just after this session at 7:15. Another one of the ambassadors, Antonia, will be holding a session on Wakelet and Buncee, and there are usually over 300 attendees, so it is a really big success, and it's kind of in the whole spirit of Wakelet. It is informal. There's a lot of chatting, there's a lot of discussions, presenting what we do, and a huge community spirit, basically, which I think is what Wakelet is all about. And then a couple of weeks ago we had a surprise guest, and that was Miss Bar. He joined us 2 weeks ago, and I must admit that all 306 attendees were absolutely thrilled. So thank you, Miss Bar, for joining us. And that's just really a few things that I wanted to tell you about our community within the Wakelet community itself. So this is us in Croatia. Please follow us. We do lots of great things, and we'd like to have you on board as well within this big family of Wakelet. Regarding how I use Wakelet, I must admit it is a tool that has become part of my daily personal and professional life. The maths community in Croatia also uses Wakelet to store a wide variety of activities and formative assessments, which has helped relieve the stress of teaching. I must admit that we share a lot of content, and this is a great source of help for many educators in these trying times. During lockdown last year, I started to use Wakelet more and more for my daily lessons. I'd like to just take you through one of my lesson plans and the way I use Wakelet. So what started off as planning for online teaching during lockdown has really developed in many senses, and I still continue to use Wakelet, even though we're very lucky in Croatia because we're in our classrooms, we're teaching in front of our students. So we're not online, but I still continue to use Wakelet to plan my lessons, to share content, and to embed all of this into Teams, because we use Microsoft Teams in our school. So how do I use it, and why do I use it in my daily lessons? This is an example of a lesson plan in mathematics. This is a lesson for my grade 5 students when we were learning all about prime numbers. So of course, with younger students, grade 5, they're only 11 years old, everything has to be colorful, it has to kind of draw them in, and maths has always been known as being a subject that is not easy, to say the least. So how do I motivate my students? How do I get them involved? Wakelet is absolutely brilliant, for this. So for the children who maybe didn't understand parts of the lesson, who maybe were not present for the lesson when I was holding it in class, this is a way where they can go back and look at what we did, what we discussed. Maybe they missed something. And yeah, this is just a typical example of a lesson plan I use. So prime numbers, what are they? What are they used for? Always these pictures, these photos from the brilliant gallery of resources that Wakelet has. I try to use as many of them as possible, bring some life to all of this text and all of this maths that can be slightly overwhelming. And even when there are loads of textual combinations, again, emojis I find are great for kids. It kind of breaks down all of this text. So I use emojis and photos as much as I can. Questions and GIFs. GIFs kind of breaks up the monotony and gets them concentrating. After all this text, some kind of movement in the lesson plan itself will wake them up definitely. So I try to use those as much as I can, bringing to their attention what it is they need to write down, what is important from the lesson itself. Using immersive reader, of course, it is a great help for children who have dyslexia or dyscalculia for mathematics. And of course, I try to introduce elements that show that mathematics is used outside the classroom. And this is a typical example of kind of interdisciplinary connection, maths and history in this instant. So when we were learning all about prime numbers, then a good example is the old Greek Eratosthenes, who lived thousands of years ago. But why not introduce a different kind of aspect to the children? It doesn't have to necessarily be about what's in the textbook itself, but introduce something that was relevant thousands of years ago, and perhaps that we can even use today. So videos are also an important tool that I try to use as much as possible. And again, this is important for children who maybe weren't present during the lesson. Why do I need to learn this about prime numbers? What relevance does that have at all for me? So videos are great. Using them as an explanation tool, definitely. Animations are great help. What they need to write down, I make sure that is something that is always bolded, so it pops out from the lesson plan itself, what they need to remember. I do apologize, it's all in Croatian. So you'll have to take my word for it that this is what it says, all the text.
We can always use immersive reader.
you can definitely, but you can see that it's bolded what's important for them to remember. Again, lots of movement within the collection itself, bringing to attention what they have to write down, and even their homework, what they have to do, what they have to practice once they come home. So they can't say that they've forgotten or they didn't know. It's all in their Wakelet collection. And as a teacher who loves participating in national and international projects, I try to incorporate and include lessons that I do within projects. So this was an announcement regarding a project that I wanted to involve the children with. And it was all about, again, Eratosthenes and how many thousands, 2,400 years ago, he measured the circumference of the Earth. So although we won't be doing this for a good 6 months, just planting this seed into their minds with all these visuals is always, I think, a good idea. And then I show them pictures of previous work that the kids did, and these are actual students of mine from a few years ago when they participated in this project, and this was an award-winning project that the children participated in. So all of these variety of materials I include in Wakelet, not only what we're doing now, but what we plan to do, how I want to get them involved. And of course, at the end, another great video to round it off, to kind of pique their interest and get them interested even more in the subject, and a short presentation within my Wakelet itself. So I just wanted to say before I hand over to Ivana that Wakelet is used personally by me from project inception to conclusion, whether it be jotting down ideas, sourcing information, making the plan of activities, introduction of project partners, ice-breaking activities, you name it, showcasing the project results, evaluation. Wakelet is definitely the tool that I use on a daily basis for myself and my students. So I kind of hope I piqued your interest a little bit, that you believe me when I say maths can be interesting. It's not boring. It is for everyone. It can be used within the real world. So this is just a short overview from me. And I promised Ms. Barr that I wouldn't go on for too long. So I just wanted to say thank you for everyone for listening and for being patient for me. And I'd like to hand you over, if I may, to Ivana, who I think is waiting in the wings to present her her use of Wakelet. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Anita.
Well, hello.
I'll stop sharing.
Okay. Thank you, Anita, and hello from me too once more. I will be presenting now not only my work in Wakelet, but Lydia's and Antonia's too, because I think they are amazing in using Wakelet, and it is a great tool for them as well as me. And they didn't want to that you hear their Russian English. So I will be sharing my screen now. Just a second. Screen share. Okay, I hope that you all see now what I'm sharing. Exactly, this is the Lydia's collection. I like this collection because it is a great example of how she collaborate with her students, even though they've been only 9 years old. It is also a great perspective of how younger students can make their contribution to the Wakelet collection, because if we invite them to the collection, even though they don't have the Wakelet account, they can put their contribution to the collection. So this was Lydia's collection about Diary of Paulina P. It is one of the most popular books in Croatia for children of younger age. So she in this collection, she invited her students to put their work in the collection, but it's great because she put the collection inside the collection, and this collection inside the collection shows how Lydia's step by step explained to her students how to use Wakelet, because when they did diary, they were in the distance learning, and she had to present them everything with short videos. But this was even before Flipgrid camera was integrated into the Wakelet. So she did her videos with Loom and explained to them what they have to do, and it was very easy for them to contribute to this collection. Also, like Anita already said, since we are working with students who are younger, it's we have to find a way how to interested them into using these web tools. So using GIFs into the into collection, it's a very good way of interested them to do this with us. Yes, okay, this is about Lydia's collection. And now I would like to present something that Antonia has done. She made a space for the GLOBE program. Antonia and I work in the same school, but I teach students when they are from 7 to 10 years old, and she is teaching students when they are from 11 to 14 years old. And she teaches geography, but also she is our GLOBE leader in school. So we are doing European Phenology campaign. And in that European Phenology campaign, we collaborate with other teachers from different parts of Europe. And we must compare our observations of trees in autumn and in spring. And before using Wakelet, we just had a forum, and there we put our observations, our informations. But now it's much more easier, because in the collections we invited all other teachers from Europe to join us, and that way we have everything in one place. But she also made this space because it's much more easier for us, because we are doing this every year, and over and over again, and this way we can go back and see in a few years what we have done, and what our results were before, and what results will be in a few years. So it is I think that it is great thing, but I would be much more happy if we could invite our students also in these spaces. But since they don't have Wakelet accounts, we can do that. We can just invite them into the collections to collaborate. Yeah, and after that, I would like to show you why I am using Wakelet, and why I think it's so great. Because when I organize my collections, and when I put everything in one place, I just in a few clicks embed it in all my websites. Even if it's my own website for my class and my parents in classroom, or on my school website, or even in the TwinSpace. For those who do not know what TwinSpace is, eTwinning is a platform for searching and collaborating in the Europe, and doing projects between schools and between students. And it is a safe place for everyone to join and to invite their students. But since we are doing projects in the twin space, we have to have some photos, and we have to collect our informations. But it was much more difficult before when I didn't use Wakelet, because I have to put everything on a few different websites at the same time. But now I just collect everything in Wakelet and then embed it into the websites. So this is my website, and since I'm doing and teaching a variety of subjects, I've made something like for Croatian. Yeah, and everything is Croatian, but trust me, it is what I'm saying. Yeah, and now you can see that I put for my students and parents in my class everything that we are doing in the classroom. So that they can see and I don't know, maybe go through everything that we are doing. But this is great thing because I just embed my Wakelet collection here, and it is everything in one place, and they can scroll it down and see what we are doing. And this is the good example of something that I have done with my students. We have here also the collection inside of the collection, and they put their work in their collections too. This is our school website, and again, it is something that Antonia and I work on. This is the site of the e-twinning projects in our school, and this is one of the projects that I'm doing right now with my students. But here it's another example of how to embed the Wakelet collection. Here is the link, but when you click on that link, it's just again, you can see everything that I've put in that collection at one place, and I don't have to put it from different sites and search all the time. But because I have my phone, and then I photograph my students, and I just with a few clicks embed it put everything in my collections, and it's much more easier for me, and I don't waste time. Yeah, and also on that twin space that I'm talking you about, I put here also my collection. I embedded here, and then everything is in one place, and everyone can see what have we done and how are we organized in our classroom with our projects. Okay, that's everything from me. I hope that this wasn't so much Russian.
Not at all, Ivana. That was incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think one of the things that got through to me the most from seeing both Anita's and Ivana's kind of showcases there was just how visual and how engaging you've made your collections, and how important that is for your students, and how you know how important that is for your students. I think that one of the really cool things about Wakelet is the fact that you get to present information and present concepts and present lessons in a really visual, engaging way. So like when Anita was showing the maths collection, I was just thinking to myself, like, I wish that I had something like that in maths class, because I really struggled with maths. Like, maths was literally another language to me. And you know, when Anita was saying about being able to showcase how the things which she's teaching her kids in maths is going to be used in the real world, like I really struggled with that in mathematics. You know, I really didn't enjoy maths at all. And I think one of the reasons was because I just saw it so binary. And I loved the fact that Anita and you use so many different kinds of mixed media. I think that that's probably for me the best thing about Wakelet, is this ability to take lots of different pieces of mixed media and then put them all in the same place, kind of for you know, something greater than the sum of their parts. I love the lesson plan stuff. Also, I love the idea of creating a community. I'm so glad that you guys started with that, because I didn't think you were going to talk about that. I thought you were just going to talk about what you do in the classroom, but I love that. At Wakelet, we really want to empower people to create their own communities, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a country like the ambassadors have done in Croatia. It can be, you know, a region. It can be a place within it can be a city. It can be a state. It can be anything. But we really want to encourage you to create these communities within the community, because you know, you get to have access to this amazing material which is in your own language. It's always nice to have people that you're familiar with and that share the same culture as you, and that can share things in a different way. I know, for example, with the Polish community that has sort of cropped up with Wakelet, you know, they're doing webinars, Croatian community doing webinars, Indonesia, Philippines, whatever. So if you're interested in forming a community, kind of find a few people that are within the community already that are from this region, and just get in touch with us. And, you know, we'll set up a Facebook group for you. We'll support you as much as we can. And I'm sure that, you know, Anita and Ivana would attest that we really do try and support these groups and these ambassadors and look after you. Yeah, again, I know that one thing that you mentioned, Anita, was this idea of movement within collections, which is really important. And I love that word. Wakelet collections are like living and breathing. They're not these static, kind of boring things which people are used to when it comes to kind of learning something, right? It's learning something in a way that encourages movement and that has GIFs and emojis and these things which students find familiar. So yeah, making collections look really engaging.
I just wanted to say that children are living, breathing movement themselves. So trying to motivate them with Wakelet is no problem whatsoever, because there's so many different opportunities that Wakelet has to offer. So for them, going through a lesson plan that's in Wakelet always has this element of excitement. What's going to be in this lesson plan? What video? What GIF? What will I learn? Because of course the whole point is getting them to learn and seeing the point of learning. And I'm sure every teacher will say that their subject is supremely important, and such is the case. But you have to show them why, and that's why this movement definitely within Wakelet is a bonus.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Anita. Thank you so much, Ivana. Really, really appreciate it. We're going to move on now to Jennifer. Sorry, Ivana. Did you want to say something? So sorry.
Yeah, I want to say just you just mentioned that community inside a community, but we are called Wakelet Wave Croatia. But in Bosnia and Herzegovina and in Serbia, we all speak the same language. So our community is not just a Croatian community, and we all support each other, and we share our ideas and our collections to each other. And it is great to see that everyone is so helpful and want to contribute. And I want to say thanks to everyone, not just the four of us or other ambassadors in Croatia, because I think that we are super powerful in this way when we are together.
Thank you so much, Ivana. Yeah, I'm glad that you stepped in to say that, because that was incredible. I probably wouldn't have been able to say something like that. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. So we'll move on then to Jennifer. Welcome, Jennifer. Do you want to kind of show us a little bit about how you're using Wakelet and the things that you love about it?
Definitely. That's a tough act to follow right there. The dynamic duo, those ladies did a fantastic job. So I'm definitely we're going to share here, and you should be able to see all this good stuff here that I'm going to share out. But those were some great ideas. And I want to second the idea that if I'd had that info for math, I would have enjoyed math much more, for sure. So it definitely is a great way to engage learners. So I'm coming from a different lens because I'm an ed tech specialist. So my job is I'm training teachers on tools to use to engage their learners. And so I'm going to share some examples of things I've created to share with my teachers. So I'm going to drop my link here. So if anyone wants to grab any of these templates that I'm going to share out, you are welcome to it. So what's great is that I can create templates and then my teachers grab them and use them how they see fit. And so it just might spark a little bit of an interest for them. And so most people use Wakelet obviously for collecting favorite resources. So of course I have my, favorite tools that we want to use. And so when teachers are like, hey, I'm looking for tools, some new ideas, I can easily share out, a collection with my favorites. I do love that I can add in fun things like dancing Genmoji, you know, because you can put animated GIFs, which I loved the idea that was shared about using the animations inside of the collection to keep students paying attention. So that was, I loved that. But the main way that I've started sharing with teachers is using it Hyperdoc style, like you saw with a lesson. Here in the States and in the district that I work in Atlanta, we've used Google Classroom. We used it before we got out for the pandemic, and it's been the main tool that we've used during this time for distance learning. And as much as I love Google Classroom, one of the challenges is if you create an assignment in Google Classroom and you have multiple links, and even though you can attach multiple links to an assignment, the problem is if you don't do them in the right order, you can't go kick and change that in an assignment in Google Classroom. So you have to kind of start from scratch. If you meant to have them look at this link first and then this link and so forth. So that's where Wakelet comes in, and the ability to build out a collection, and I can go in and change the links and reorder them however I want, but I've only have to share one link inside of Google Classroom. So that's been one reason I've shared it out with teachers. I'm like, this right here is going to save the headache of changing out content. And also making it very easy to just share one link. And then as you add new resources to it, you can do that. But the other thing is that we use, in our schools, we use the 5E model for one of the lesson progressions in terms of how we function the lesson, you know, how we engage students and move them through the lesson. So you might be familiar with Hyperdocs. And so I was a big fan of Hyperdocs before, and then now putting a Hyperdoc style lesson together, which you saw the ladies share before, just levels up because it's so visually interesting, but also it has the power of immersive reader. And that to me is a game changer. I'm a former language arts teacher, and that's where I'm like, this is so powerful because now you've made this accessible to any student at any grade level, which is great. So this is an example of the Hyperdoc template that I put together, and it's on my profile page. So if you're interested, grab a copy, you can modify it and change it out. But it walks through the lesson progression. Here's the engage. Love that you can use those emojis for bullet points and things like that. To now we get to the explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate, and so forth, and giving some suggestions of what tools could be used in each part of that lesson. I've included that in here in this template. But here's what's great. If we're talking about differentiating instruction and making sure we meet the needs of our diverse learners, I know that I'm going to plan for my students that are on grade level with one Wakelet collection. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that collection, and then I'm going to change it out and have my emerging learners, so that those students who need extra supports, I'm going to change out the content a little bit for them. And then I can also create another copy for my accelerated or gifted learners, my students that are high flyers. So what I've done over here is, I'm going to show you here real quick. I actually have under my lesson templates, this is a great way to share this out for students. They just see they've got a Wakelet question, but they don't necessarily know that theirs is different by just changing out the background color. The content looks the same. So I have a yellow, a green, a blue, a red. You can, and just changing it out, it's that super simple that I'm going to know when I see it that what level that is to me when I'm sharing it out with my students, but I'm not making it really obvious to all the students. They might go, oh, well, yours is a different color. And it will be like, oh, that's just because I just wanted to change it up and use a different color. It's not making it really obvious. As a former classroom teacher, that was always the challenge, working with multiple levels of students. And I'd hand out a unit checklist with tasks they need to complete. And I'd have 4 different copies to give to different students. And that was always very hard for students to go, well, why is mine different? And it's because we're trying to meet their needs, but it also made them very self-conscious. And I love the fact that you can use, what's great about that is I can just change out the background color. And also that works if you're using different for different classes. So at one of my schools, they actually color code their classes as red, yellow, and blue. So if they're creating content, they can just change out the color on the back, which I think is a great way just to level up. I'm curious in the chat, how many of you were a Hyperdoc user, and now you're like, that's where you completely switched to using Wakelet because of the immersive reader, because it's more visually engaging? I'm just curious. I see Hannah says you love the color coding idea. Yes, I thought that was just a great way to do. You're differentiating, you're making it easier for you to know, but not necessarily putting the students on blast, making it so obvious for them. So glad you love that idea. So another way that my teachers have been using Wakelet is if you're going into Google Classroom and you need to look at 30 different assignments, you know, and you got to click 30 different times to look at things, what's great is if you share out a collection that students can add to, that means the teacher just has to go to one place to check on an assignment. So one of my CTAE teachers, which is a career tech teacher focusing on engineering, was doing a coding project, and the students had to create a coding script, and they had to share back their project. And she also wanted students to be able to see each other's work. So what's great is you can share out a collection. So this is a project showcase template. What they do is you share it out and you make it editable so that they can add to the collection, and they add the link to their project to this one place. So it's shared as one link into the Google Classroom, or if you're using Microsoft Teams, you can share it that way as well. And now as a teacher, all I have to do is go to that one place and take a look and see all of the students' work to check their work. The other cool thing is that everybody gets to see each other's work. Now you might be wondering, well, can they go in and delete out other students' work? The great thing about the collection piece and allowing collaborators is you give them the rights to add to it, but not subtract, which means I can add whatever I want, or if I mess up my link, I can take that back out, but I'm not going to be able to delete anybody else's work that's been added. Because that was when we were looking for a solution, the teacher was like, I don't want someone to go in and delete somebody else's work that they've added. So that's another option here. The project collection. Another great way that you can use Wakelet is to actually create an agenda for students, because we want to kind of keep them on track. You can create an agenda that has the instructions and any resources that they need to have for that week, or you could do it for a particular unit. But that way they can see on Monday, we're working on this, on Tuesday, we're working on this item, this task and whatnot. What's great about Wakelet is that I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can go in and easily change the look and feel by changing the layout of the collection. And I can also drag and drop and move things around. So it's just a really, really powerful way to organize things. So another one that I wanted to share that I think is pretty cool is actually as a research project, because we know that students are creating their research projects for science fairs or social studies fair or math, or maybe we are currently right now getting ready for our technology fair here in our district. So it's a great way for them to go through the research process and document their resources. So this is actually a template I created that goes through a research project, title, table of contents, all the things that you're going to have for your research, writing an abstract, statement of purpose. So this is geared more towards middle and high school, but it can be adapted for your elementary, primary students as they're working on projects as well, coming up with that hypothesis, the background research, things that they're gathering. And here's what's great, because they've got this template and I can add stuff as I'm looking and I find a video that supports my research, or I find an article or another document that I want to include. What's great is any URL can be added, but also anything that's in, OneDrive or in Google Drive can be added as well. And the fact that you can upload PDFs keeps you organized. Documenting the materials, the procedure, documenting any observations, all of that can be captured in this one Wakelet collection, and you can push this out and each student can have a copy of it to keep up with their research. So I just think this is another interesting way to use Wakelet to help students organize, because that executive functioning, keeping up with their own materials, the steps that they need to accomplish a task, I think is really important. So I did want to point out a couple other ways that I've been using Wakelet. I love that you can use it for a video playlist, because it's a safe space inside of Wakelet. I also think it's a great way to create a back channel, so that students, as you're going through a lesson, they can add comments and then you've got it captured. Because even though like you're using Zoom or you're using Meet or you're using Teams, they can write in the chat box, but then once you leave that session, it's gone unless you go back and get the archive. Here, if you have a running record where they can add comments to a collection related to your lesson, is a great way to organize it as well. I love that you can add those resources. Here's those different color templates. Also for newsletters is a great way to communicate with parents and your stakeholders supporting the schools. So there's a couple of templates, all of these, and I'm going to drop this link to the profile in here again. Let me grab that link. And you all are welcome to grab any of those. The ones I've shared are all on here. One or two more options, and then I'm going to pass the ball to Wendy, is a word wall. It's a great way, as was shared earlier, being visual, because you can embed a video, you can embed an image and a definition for students to really gain and access new vocabulary. So just a few ways that I've been using and been sharing the power of using Wakelet. Hopefully you got at least one good idea. If you got a good idea or you like something you saw, let me know in the chat. I'd be curious to know something that you thought was pretty cool. And thank you all so much for the opportunity to share. And I'm going to pass the ball back here.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was incredible and so inspiring. And I think everybody in the chat really loves the ideas that you shared. I think one of the really cool things about you and the way that you present as well is the fact that you use subtitles, which is incredible. I think that's we could take a leaf out of your book. I just had a few people on the Wakelet team who are watching this text me and be like, "Oh my gosh, Jennifer has her own subtitles. We need to do that."
So can I tell you the magic trick that I did? And I've started doing that because I have some hearing impaired teachers and students I'm working with, and I've realized that it's just really easy. It's a web tool called Web Captioner, and I'll drop a link here in a second into the chat of how I do that. And you use it and just put it at the bottom of your screen and it automatically captions. And you can also change the language, just an FYI, but I'll put the link in the chat. But I saw someone mention subtitles or captions, and I was like, I can do that pretty quickly. So yeah.
That's
an
absolute game changer.
Yeah.
That's an absolute game changer. We'll definitely look at incorporating that into our webinars going forth. Thank you so much. Just before we jump on to Wendy, I just wanted to recap. What I loved from what you said was the flexibility of Wakelet, right? The ability to kind of, put multiple links into one link in its most basic form. It's like sharing 100 links, but just through one simple link. And I love the fact that you'd used emojis and you used colors and you assigned like context and meaning to those colors as well. I think that a lot of people, when they just see kind of like the blank Wakelet slate, they don't realize that there's so many of these awesome ideas, and it's really just it's as creative as you are, So being able to actually assign those meaningful things to emojis and also to reactions, which we have now, the ability to react to things. A lot of teachers are using reactions for things like polls or to provide really simple feedback for their students. I love that. Again, the collaboration, working together element, really big. And I love the templates as well, the idea that you are creating templates actively and kind of sharing them with the community and sharing them with your students. I think doing assignment templates are really useful because the students can just copy them to their own accounts, work with them from there, and you can send them to other teachers who might want to replicate that assignment in their own class as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Okay, so next up and lastly, we're probably going to go over time a little bit here, but it's okay. We're having a great time. If you need to run, don't worry, you can run. We will be sharing this as a video later on, like a recording of it. But if I was you, I'd stick around. You never know what you could miss, I'd like to welcome to the webinar Wendy Heaton. Wendy, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and then jump into how you've been using Wakelet and what you love about it?
Sure. I'm a 9th grade teacher in Florida, and we have been face-to-face since August. So that's why I was coming in late, because I was in the middle of teaching my last block of the day. And I teach intensive reading, which means these are kids that struggle with reading. And I just have a couple of things I want to show you. I'm going to tell you, it's hard to follow the acts that these ladies have laid out. They're very impressive. But I've kind of divided mine up into kind of 3 different things: how I use it professionally, how I use it personally, and then some more practical things that I do with it. So let me share my screen. All right. Okay, so of course, this is just my main page here, my profile page. But in our classes, we've had some pretty unique situations in our state. We are teaching hybrid, and I'm not sure what it means in other places, but parents have had the option to keep their kids home. The interesting part with us teaching hybrid is that our kids that are in our classroom have 0 technology. They have nothing. Some of them don't even have phones, whereas we were stuck with some
Sorry,
challenges.
we lost you. We lost you for a moment.
Sorry, did you lose me?
Wendy, we lost you just for a split moment. Yeah, I was about to panic,
Okay.
but it's no problem.
I'm back. Now it's telling me my internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me still?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. So our challenge was to meet the needs of students sitting in front of us with nothing and students online that all they had was technology. So we chose to do some different activities. One of the things that we did was this project that was done through Wakelet and Adobe Spark that our kids did, and all about me, rather than your typical telling me, you know, what's your name, what'd you do this summer, you know, we had different activities that they chose from. And if they'd never used Adobe Spark, they could go into the collection here and learn how to use Adobe Spark. There were the different apps that were provided. And then this takes them into the link that they would use their All About Me projects from. And so they weren't your typical ones. They were things like they could do ghost stories and all kinds of different things that they had available. It doesn't want to load right now, apparently. Okay. So, so that was one of the ways that we used it. I'm trying to move my toolbar to a different location because it's right on top of, do you guys know how to move it?
So we can't actually see anything that you have on your screen that's from Zoom. We can't see that. We can just see your screen.
Really?
So yes, no, as in we can see what we should be seeing. Like we can't see those overlays.
All right.
But Wendy,
so
if you want to move it though, hover over the green part of the bar and then drag it. That'll give you the drag option.
Ah, you're a miracle worker. Okay, we don't use Zoom. We use Teams, and they have different ways of moving. Okay, perfect. All right. So that would tell that was one of the things that we did. This would take them right into all the different projects they could have chosen: logo designs, about me videos, 200-word challenges. And they had a blast doing that. And one of the benefits is you can do Wakelet on your phone. And that's what we've been relying heavily on our students' phones because we have no technology within our classrooms. So that was one of the things that we did at the start of this year. When we did our summer school this year, we really didn't have a platform that we were using to get our students information that they needed for our classes. It was kind of like send an email here, send a chat there. There was really nothing that streamlined any of their course. And the kids were frustrated, the parents were frustrated. So I threw what they needed to do each week into a Wakelet, and we went through it. They had a checklist. This takes them into those PDFs where they can do their checklist. They can go to their online computer program, and they had specific things they had to do on there. And rather than emailing these to them in 14 different emails, I also would embed PowerPoints with PowerPoint steps in there. This also was a PowerPoint document here, which is me instructing this part. Since we had students that, even though our summer school times were set, it was not, they were not on at the same time we were. Some of them had summer jobs. So we had to provide stuff live and for those kids that couldn't be live at the same time. So we had videos that we had available for them. And so each week I would post the one link, and then when our district would change their mind about something they wanted them to do that week, all the other teachers were scrambling going, oh, I already sent that out to my students. And I just went into my Wakelet and I just changed it to the thing that they wanted to be changed to. And my students were none the wiser. They still had the same link. I didn't have to keep giving them different information and keep saying, oh yeah, not that one, but this one. So that was very handy as well. Seems that my internet seems to be a little bit slow today. Another challenge that we've had is, as a reading teacher, from time to time, we're reading novels in class, and we had students that are online. We have the novels in class for them, but they're not with us. And so we had to provide a way for those students to be able to come in and do online the same thing that we were doing with our classes face to face. So we took our books and broke them down into chapters. Each chapter had a PDF and 2 different audio files. So if we had a student, keeping in mind that I teach struggling readers, that missed the class and needed to know what chapter 1 was about, and they went back to read it, but it was a little bit too overwhelming, they could go in and also do the audio file. And it's in 2 different platforms because within our district, we use Stream. But oddly enough, some of our kids at home can't access Stream, and vice versa. We have some students at home with county district devices and they can't access YouTube. So we had to provide formats for them that they could access. And as we added this information in and got a chapter finished, we just kept the same link and just kept adding to it. So that's also been tremendously helpful for our students. And then for our teachers, as we were going through and building things together for this book, we had all of our teacher stuff that we had been dumping in here and using, rather than looking a million different locations. It's in that email I sent you, it's in that OneDrive file, so they could come in here and put stuff in a pretty streamlined place. In my practical side of things, we used Wakelet this year a lot. A friend of mine, Stormy Daniels, who's also a Wakelet ambassador, we did a training at TCEA, and the entire training was set up in a Wakelet, and we just put in all of the information in here that we wanted our people to know, videos of us teaching, but she's 2,000 miles away from me in the United States, and yet we could work on this real time together, plan out everything that we were going to say, plan out everything that we were going to do, and streamline it so that everybody could see it when they came into our conference, and not just see it, but with one link, they had all the resources they could possibly need to help them get started and continue in Wakelet. Using it also for things like, this is one of our district-wide trainings. Again, everything that we're doing district-wide as far as trainings is virtual. There's no face-to-face. So being able to provide a format that shows them exactly how to use all of this information and how to put it in there and to connect to everything is pretty impressive. And then being able to change your mind, which I do frequently, and not have to update anything, you could just have the same link over and over, is priceless. So just more examples of doing the trainings in here. And then last but not least, I want to show you a little bit, just a glimpse of some of the personal ways that I use Wakelet. Wakelet is my go-to for my recipes. I have gluten-free recipes that I find all over the internet. And before, I'd have to bookmark them and scroll through and try to find them that way. And if it loads, it's a little slow today on my end. So here's another one that I have that has, just some calorie counting meals here. And it's wonderful because even if the recipe is not online, I can type it in quick and it stays here forever. I can share this link with other people that are wanting some of those same recipes. And so that's one of the ways that I use that. I also have a speech therapist that I was working with, and she was needing some somewhere to be able to send patients to when she had certain therapies for them to do and videos that she wanted them to see. And I said, well, let me introduce you to Wakelet. And so now she uses that faithfully and gives links to her patients to get them what they need as far as their therapies, including videos and everything else that goes along with that. So I am going to stop sharing. I think I'm going to stop sharing. Stop sharing. Got it. All right. Sorry, I'm not Zoomified.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Those are some incredible ideas. Once again, you know, the chat's clearly super inspired by the stuff that you shared. I love what you mentioned about how important it is to have your students, you know, being able to use Wakelet on their mobile devices. You know, that's one of the things I think that when the pandemic hit, it kind of made us really look at our mobile devices from our mobile offering from like a technical perspective to make them like much better, much cleaner, much more functional. So you'll notice that in the past like month or two, all of the stuff that we've been working on is all being released. So things like having immersive reader, things like Wakelet spaces, and we're going to continue to do that as well, because we know that so many educators are doing, you know, either a mixture of remote learning and face-to-face, or just remote. I also really love, just very quickly, the idea of using Wakelet for things outside of education. When Wakelet was first founded, we knew that it would be used in education, but we didn't think that it would become as big as it has done in education. And initially it was like what somebody said, Pinterest with purpose, right? It's this ability to just be able to bookmark the things that you love, have them all in one place. And whereas Pinterest is largely for things like images, we wanted to make Wakelet, you know, everything, whether it's a Spotify playlist, whether it's a video, whatever type of content it might be. You know, it's kind of bringing order to chaos a little bit and bringing all the best pieces of the internet that you love and putting them all into one place. So thank you so much for sharing with us today, Wendy. Really appreciate it. We're coming to the end now, and I know that we have gone over 6 minutes, which isn't that bad considering this is a Wakelet webinar. Sometimes we've gone over 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But I wanted to first of all thank everybody who's joined us today for this webinar. You've all made it so special. Your ideas and your appreciation and your passion shows through so much through your comments, and I hope that through this webinar you've you know, learned a few more things and been a bit more inspired to use Wakelet in ways which you may not have thought was even possible. I also want to thank our incredible panel today. Thank you so much, Anita, Ivana, Jennifer, Wendy. We really appreciate everything that you do for us. We know that as ambassadors, you know, and community members, you really do contribute to what Wakelet is, and all of your ideas and all of the things that you share with us. I think you'll know that we take them on board and we try and bring them into the platform and into everything that we do. If anybody wants to appear on one of these webinars in the future who has a good story to share, or you know, like Anita, Jennifer, Ivana, and Wendy, have something interesting that they want to share about Wakelet, just email community@wakelet.com. James has very timely just put the email there in the chat box, and this will be you will get a certificate for this that will come through in your email shortly afterwards, and there will be a recording made available on our YouTube channel as well. So thank you all so much. If you're okay, I'd love to kind of give the floor to everybody just to say goodbye individually before we go. I find it makes it so much nicer than everyone just kind of leaving. Anita, do you want to go, and then we'll just kind of do it in the order that we said?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for inviting us. It was great, and I thoroughly recommend everyone participate. And it's just a great community to be a part of. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thanks for me too. Yeah, I would like to say thank you to the community in Manchester. Yeah, for your support and everything that you have done for us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. I think I saw one of my favorite comments in the chat was from Maha. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Said, I came here tonight with no idea of what about Wakelet and leaving with nothing but excitement to use it ASAP. That's that right there. That's the comment that just made my day. So thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And yes, thank you. That comment is incredible to see.
I just want to thank you for being able to be a part of this. The Wakelet community is phenomenal. The support that Wakelet gives to a teacher, it's like if we think it and dream it, you guys do it. And that's just the response that that we get from you all is amazing. I've heard different educators say they had no idea that you're not based in the United States, because when they send something and sometimes it's in the middle of the night over there, they get a response. So they had no idea that they weren't working with a company not based in the United States. And that just, it speaks volumes that you listen to us, because oftentimes our voices feel like they're not heard. You guys hear us, and you make a place for our kids to be heard and for their voices and choices to be used. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Wendy. That you made me blush, honestly. That's some of the nicest feedback I've ever heard about Wakelet. We do try as a team, to just kind of be available and at hand, at any time. And you know how accessible we are. You can just send us a DM, send us a message, and we're super, super responsive. We need that, we need that feedback, and we need that spirit to kind of do what we do. And, just before I go, I want to say that, educators, like you just touched on, Wendy, sometimes it does feel like you're overlooked a little bit, especially during this pandemic. I feel like there's obviously a lot of emphasis on things like frontline workers and, people who are, nurses and people in the medical industry and the medical profession who are really helping people and saving lives. But I think on a society level, educators have such an important job and an integral role in what's happening right now and how stable everything is. A lot of the times, the pandemic has been measured on whether or not schools are open or closed. And I think the fact that you as educators have been able to just quickly and very difficultly transition into this new way of teaching and learning is a testament to how incredible and passionate you all are. It's such a difficult job, and everybody at Wakelet really empathizes with you and want to do as much as we can to amplify your voice and kind of showcase the things that you do every single day. So thank you so much. And we'll end the webinar there. My panelists, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Feel free to leave. I'm the host, so I'll leave the chat open for just a few moments, but feel free to leave, and the chat can continue for the next few minutes, and then we'll close it off. But thank you all so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. And be sure to join us for the next one as well. Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye-bye.